Hey YouTube, it's SoulPrime13 coming at you with another Transformers video review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Studio Series 86 construticon scavenger. So very excited to have this guy in hand, and as of the time of me recording this, I have paid my pre-order for Mixmaster. He is just not shipped yet. Hopefully I'll get that notification sometime tonight. But I am very excited, and it will not be too long before I'm able to do the full Devastator combination video, so look forward to that. But we'll take a quick look here at the box. Here we have Transformers Studio Series, Transformers the Movie, Constructicon Scavenger. Do get that wraparound artwork that does look pretty cool. He's an Autobot because there are no Decepticon packaging, so he is definitely an Autobot. There we got Devastator, says 4 out of 5 because they're counting the Commander class 2-pack is one thing, so yeah, 4 out of 5. And we got our legal jargon. We have our falling. Stop falling. Just, come on. Really? Yeah. Stay. Then we got our logo on top, and then we have our product shots. We got him throwing sludge up here in that screen cap from the movie. We got our little one-line bio, and there we have the figure in his vehicle and robot mode. So there's that for the packaging. We do also get a lovely instruction booklet. So yeah, there is that. And we'll take a look here at the figure. So he is primarily green and purple. So for some reason they decided to mold the fists in purple, and you can sort of see it in the fist hole there, and then paint them entirely in green, so it is slightly off from the plastic. And the only I don't understand why they did that. Why not just cast it in green and save that paint budget for like something else? Because like, you know, that you could have painted more on the sides, or, you know, maybe add a little more detailing in, you know, some other part. But yeah, like now here I'm pretty sure this is because, you know, that's part of Devastator's arm that they've painted green right here. So I can sort of understand that, but like these fists, they're never gonna be anything else. In fact, they're gonna see a lot of action from plugging in weapons and stuff, so why not just cast those in green? It makes no sense to me. But we do get a nice chunk of silver here. Do got our little Decepticon symbol there, and we do have a little bit of a darker, like gunmetal right here in this circle. That is a painted circle. Not really sure why, but it's a thing. We do get a little bit of silver here on the hip and on the foot. So there's that. Nice blocky head sculpt. Do dig the way that looks. He's got silver for his face, and some red there for the visor. Does look nice. Do have his backhoe excavator bucket here, and this does come separated out of the box. It is just on a peg, so you will need to plug that in when you get him, but it does just sort of sit there on his back. And that's about as far as the detailing goes. As far as articulation goes, he doesn't seem to have a ball joint. He does get rotation, and he does have a transformation hinge that lets him sort of bob his head, but you're not going to get any side-to-side wiggles or anything. He has big ball jointed shoulders, so plenty of movement there. It is a little bit restricted back and forth, but you do at least get some butterfly movement there. You can see that the elbows are also ball joints, so they get all that movement. The hands are just on a hinge, and that's really just for transformation, so not much there. No articulation in the waist because he needs to both transform and form the arm, although that's more of the arm articulation for Devastator that's restricting that. You do also get big ball joints for his hips. You know, the last few Studio Series figures I've reviewed have all had like just lots of ball joints. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Ball joints are very versatile, but I just realized that like the last three, like pretty much this entire wave so far, Starscream, Elite 1, and Scavenger have all had lots of ball joints. You do get hip swivel, rotation. You do get knees. They do click into place. So that is a thing, but you do get knees, 90 degree at the knee. Do get some ankle movement there. And you can kind of give them some toe movement, but that's more of the transformation. It's more for vehicle mode, but you do get hinge, swivel, and hinge on that excavator claw. If you want, you can give him a hat. It's a hat. And you do get some up and down on these pieces. That, again, more for transformation, but that is something that moves. They do click into place, but yeah, just figured I'd mention it. As far as accessories, he just comes with his gun, and yeah, it just has a little peg, and molded little scope there, barrel. It does have a side magazine, side clip. I'm not entirely sure which one would be more accurate for this particular gun, but it does have that on the side, which normally I'd say that's really cool, but it does kind of affect the storage, because like there's only a couple places to store it, and pretty much there's these two on his back, and then there's on his arms, and you can give him a one-sided null ray kind of thing going on, which is kind of neat, but doesn't really work. And then yeah, on this side, because of the way the clip faces, you basically have to have the barrel pointing up for it to actually no, it does not store in that one. It does, however, store in this one. Yeah. So you do have a little bit of option there as far as the robot mode storage goes. Yeah, let's do some comparisons. Here he is next to our recent Siege Prowl reissue, just because he does have some association with Devastator these days. Then we'll bring in a couple of his Constructicon brothers. Here is Scrapper and Hook, so you can see how they all stack up together. And yeah, so that's about it for the robot mode. So I think we can go ahead and move on to the transformation, which there are some finicky bits to this, but for the most part it's straightforward. But yeah, first thing we're going to do is we are going to pull his chest open like this and fold his head in like so, and close that back up. Fold in these painted fists into his arms. And then the first bit here, you want to pull down on the arm, because this big purple piece is that part that locks into place like so. And sometimes that takes a little bit of force, nothing like that makes me feel like it's gonna break, but just sometimes it does take a bit of force. Now, something that does make me a little uncomfortable is the amount of force it takes to move this piece. For some reason, you really have to pull out, and it almost always snaps and hurts my finger, because just like the way it tucks in is, it's not really the connection that's too tight, it's the fact that like it's folded over onto the tab, and it takes some messing with to get it to detach. But anyway, we're gonna bring his shoulder pieces up like so, and then you want to make sure that these pieces fold all the way down to become flush, and then you can bring this piece down and it'll tab on there, and then they will click into place here. Bring that down and make it flush, and there is a little tab slot connection right here in the shoulder. Bring that in. Then we want to take these pieces where the hands were, and as you can see, there's a little tab here, there's a little slot there, And they're just going to squeeze right in there. Just like that. And that is actually extremely tight once it gets in there. So then we're going to bring his legs around, and this waist piece is going to sort of fold into this cavity here. And you can see that there's actually a big tab right there. Should probably bring the camera down again. Big tab right there that's actually going to slide into this slot. So, oh, and we do want to close those feet up. And then there's also this little tabs here are going to go into this little slot here. But that's more to hide them than actually connect it. But, and we do the same on the other side. We just want to make sure that big slot and the big tab connect. Make sure those feet are closed up. Bring these in. And like, he is like super brickified when he's like this. But then we could just bring this armature out. I do want to make sure that that's actually plugged all the way on. And then yeah, you can just pose this however you want. And there we have him in his excavator mode. And yeah, it looks nice, but it is 90% brick. Like, there's no rolling wheels. The only thing that moves is this. So you're not getting too much out of this particular vehicle mode, but again, like, most people are going to be buying this for the Devastator combination, so I mean, it is what it is. I feel like when it comes to the combiners, like, honestly, the vehicle modes are probably a bit of an afterthought, all things considered. But, you know, as far as that goes, it does look nice. Again, my only real concern is with just how tight this piece can be. Like, even here it takes a little bit of force, and again, I don't think it's gonna break. It's more that, like, it takes so much force that you're gonna accidentally, like, pinch your finger or bash your knuckle against him or something. So there is risk of small injuries, which is, I'm not exactly a fan of that. But overall, it does look nice as far as a giant glob of green on a big pancake of purple looks. Again, you know, it kind of sucks that there's no rolling wheels. That's not anything particularly new. Honestly, I was more surprised when the Megatron did get wheels than any of these not having them. You can store the gun right here on top. Again, that is just like that arm storage that I mentioned earlier. But yeah, it just kind of hangs out there, just in case you run into any ruffians on the construction site. And unfortunately, you cannot hat yourself on this one. Kind of like make a battering ram, I guess. I don't know, it looks kind of weird. But yeah, there's really not much going on here. I don't think that's terribly surprising. But it is what it is. As far as comparisons go, let's we'll compare him with generic Seeker. So there's that. So you get an idea. And of course, we do need to compare him with at least a couple of his Constructicon brethren. So here he is with the other deluxe arm. Bone Crusher. Just give you an idea of how he stacks up there. And then of course we do have our other Commander torso component in Long Haul, who is more akin to the Voyager price point at the end of the day. So, does look nice there. And yeah, this whole set is definitely coming together quite nicely. So yeah, again, there's really not too much to discuss in the vehicle mode, but it is what it is. And again, as far as the rating, I don't really think there's too much point to rating the individual Constructicons, because really 90% of people, I feel, are gonna be grabbing this set for the Devastator aspect, for the whole shabam. And you know, the robot modes are good, the vehicle modes, they at the very least, you know, look pretty solid, and some of them are literally solid. This is like, I cannot express how brick this is. He is just a solid chunk of plastic. But you know, overall, I'm not upset with him for it, because again, it's for the Devastator. Looking forward to the Devastator. So yeah, you know, if you're getting Devastator, you're picking this guy up. If you're not, I don't imagine too many. I mean, I know there are people who are like, I only want this one or that one, but most people are going to be picking up the full 6. So, and I'm definitely one of those people. But yeah, we'll definitely have to do a video when Devastator is complete. Again, I just have to wait for my Mixmaster to ship, and I'm definitely looking forward to him because he is one of the 2 Constructicons I was actually familiar with before this whole thing came out, because it's pretty hard to forget Mixmaster as he is a cement mixer. Very simple naming procedure. But yeah, overall that's pretty much all I had to say about this review, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. And this is Soul Prime 13 saying transform and soul out.